everybody. This is Frances Cath-Weatherized, President of the Houston East End Chamber of Commerce, and it's an honor to welcome you to our Feel Good Friday webinar. I'm very honored to have Cyndy Garza Roberts, who is Director of Community Impact External Affairs at Comcast here in Houston. Hi, Cyndy. It's so wonderful to welcome you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. Very different, you know, we now do everything virtual and by webinars, so it's fun. Change is good. Change is always good. So thank you.
You're so welcome. So tell us, how long have you been with Comcast and what do you do there?
Well, you know, I just celebrated on 16 my second year at Comcast. And basically what I do is I manage all community initiatives and community service, along with the charitable giving and the special events that the company does. Ooh, and I see you put some photos up. That is my husband, Thomas Roberts. Thomas is a native Houstonian, and Francis, he graduated from your alum, which is Milby High School, but he graduated many years ahead of you. He grew up here in Houston. I, on the other hand, grew up in San Antonio. I'm a native San Antonian, and I'm very proud to say that my ancestors were one of the settling families of San Antonio that came over from the Canary Islands. So when people boast about being, you know, fourth, fifth, sixth generation Texas, tell people, oh, I'm 11th. So my roots run deep here in Texas. And then that other picture was our family portrait. I was saying that much like you, we don't have the two-legged children, we have the four-legged ones. And so we've got our little dog Tex, and we're proud owners of 4 horses. And we live out in Cyprus. But you know, say that the amazing thing is I moved here to Houston in 1979. So I'll let you guys do the math, how long I've been here. And moved to Houston because I was a news reporter at the time. I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin and was a news reporter in Austin for a couple of years, and then had the opportunity to move to Houston and worked at Channel 13 for 16 years, and have stayed in communications, if you will, my entire professional career. Working at Channel 13, I hosted Viva Houston, the public affairs weekly show, and then went into the energy business. I was at HLMP, Houston Lighting and Power, where some of you may remember, in community relations, Hispanic outreach. Then deregulation came, went to Reliant Energy and ran the foundation for Reliant Energy. Then changed completely and went to healthcare and was at UT Health Science Center as Vice President of Public Affairs for UT Health Science Center. And then got a call from the University of Houston. My dear friend Elio was there as the Vice President of Development, and said, there's a position in our government relations department. Would you be interested in coming to the university? And so I did, and I was Director of Government Relations for the university when they were trying to get their Tier 1 accreditation. So my career has been the gamut, but always has been with community, if you will, outreach, involvement, that sort of thing.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, so now, yeah, I still say San Antonio's home because it is. My heart is there, my whole family is there, but so is Houston.
I love that. And San Antonio is near and dear to all of our hearts because a lot of us would drive down there in April for Fiesta. And we're very honored. We actually have a giveaway today from one of our sponsors, Spring Hill Suites in San Antonio. So one lucky person that's watching this today is going to get a one-night stay on the weekend. So at the very end, we'll announce that winner. So I'm excited about that. So one of the other things that we have here that Comcast is doing is your Hispanic Hero Award program. And I am just so honored. There's 8 people. Can you tell us how this started and your involvement in this?
Sure. So again, going back to my role at Comcast's community outreach. 5 years ago, this is the 5th year that Comcast honors outstanding individuals in the Latino community here in Houston. This year, we're honoring the 8 that you see there on the screen. What we look for, well, first of all, this is a open nomination. People from the community can nominate individuals that they feel have made a personal impact in the Latino community in the greater Houston area. And I say that made an impact. It's looking at, how have they furthered or the mission of a specific nonprofit that they serve. And all of these individuals that you see not only work with one nonprofit, but they work with a multitude. And that's what a true public servant is that it's an individual that gives back to the community, gives back to a nonprofit organization to help enhance the quality of life of those that are underserved. And we're helping them overcome personal obstacles. So as I say, we received well over 80 nominations this year. And from that, we condense it down to finalists. We have a panel of judges that review all of those individuals that have been nominated, the finalist. And then from there, this year's honoree are the 8 individuals that you see on your screen. And they range from a spectrum of, Dr. Melcher, to Sofia Androgué, who is so involved in so many nonprofits, to Marcy Meir, just Gonzo. I loved him when I interviewed him. The artwork that he has done throughout our city, it started off as graffiti art, and some people may have frowned on it. But let me tell you, now major corporations in this city are hiring him to do the work in their own buildings. But he hasn't forgotten where he came from. That is the one thing that he specifically talked about. He said he realized that he had a lot to give back to the East End. But then once he reached the stature of being a renowned artist, if you will, he realized that there are individuals, young people still in that neighborhood that can do what he does and take great pride in. So now he's taking young kids under his wing and doing lessons on that. So they're all phenomenal people, every single one of them.
Speaking of phenomenal people, you mentioned Sofia Adrogué. She was nominated by the Holocaust Museum Houston. Are the nominees getting anything in return for these?
Well, they did receive a big award. I personally delivered these celebration boxes to each of them. COVID has impacted so many of us, our personal lives, our business lives. We would host this big luncheon with over 400 individuals where we would do it at the Post Oak Hotel. This year, because of COVID, we cannot do it. So what we did is we did vignettes. We partnered with Telemundo. Their stories are being aired on Telemundo during the month of February, the month of September 16th through October 15th, which is Hispanic Heritage Month. So they received that recognition on Telemundo. They received their award. And in addition, we have made a $1,000 contribution to the nonprofit of their choice.
That's
and
wonderful.
Francis, I've got to tell you, in the 5 years that Comcast has been doing this, many of the winners that have come through because of you, because you truly have worked at making sure that individuals from the East End and from the Houston Latino community, their names are nominated, the forms are filled out, and every year, people that you nominate win. So you're the lucky charm.
Thank you so much. It's my honor. There's so many wonderful things that are coming out of the East End, and I just want to make sure that they're recognized. One of the honorees was Sofia Androgué, and I actually have a picture here in her honor. We co-chaired a Girls Inc. luncheon together, and she was so sweet. She actually printed this out, and sent this over to me. So I just think the world of her. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. And on that same picture was Carlos from Gulf Coast Distillery, and the chamber nominated him. We're so honored, but I wanted to show everybody, this is their C4U hand sanitizer that they did during COVID, and it's still being sold in stores and at the distillery. So we're so honored and proud of what he's done.
I've got, aside from the distillery there, what he also has now, he told us he is brewing beer, and I love it. It's Tejas beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he gave me this cap when I went and interviewed him. But what a guy! I mean, he could have continued to, produce the vodka and the beer, but he saw that there was a need in the community, and he just completely stopped operations and said, "This is what we're going to do. This is what is important: hand sanitizer." And he produced it not only to be sold in stores, but he went out and gave it to so many nonprofits.
He did.
So thank you for sharing his story with us.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And then there's some other folks that were recipients. Gonzo, you mentioned earlier, and in his honor, I have this koozie from a mural that he performed, the Houston one. It's just a beautiful piece. And you're right. He's given so much back to the community as far as teaching youngsters. We work with him on art projects, and he always wants to involve high school, middle school students, and give them a seed, plant a seed in them that maybe they'll become an artist just like him. He's just amazing. And there was someone from Combined Arms received, and I actually am wearing, oops, sorry about that. There's I don't even know how to pronounce her name, and I'm not going to pronounce it incorrectly.
It's Talisa. Talisa Kyle. Phenomenal young woman. And what she went through, she was deployed to Afghanistan, and going there as a woman and serving her country and serving in the military. But she was very open with us. And she said, there are those that return and really face internal issues. And she was one of them. And she openly said she contemplated suicide. But it was because of the support that she received from her husband, her family, and also Combined Arms, that a complete turnaround. And she is committed to helping those that have served in the military. Incredible young woman. And she lives out in the Rosenberg area, is where she lives. Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing this mask. It says U.S. on it, in honor of Combined Arms and Talisa, because they're members of the chamber and everything. I feel like there's the 6 degrees of separation, but there's like 1 degree of separation to the East End, and it's just so nice that they also were a recipient. So thanks for honoring them. The next 2 people that we saw on there that received an award is Dr. Melcher and Paula Mendoza. And it is so interesting because the UT School of Dentistry is where she works. And in her honor, I brought this toothbrush because she actually gave this to me, and it has the star and stripes up on the front. But they are out in the community giving away toothbrushes to kids, to families, and just making sure that they have the dental hygiene that they need.
And she's an East End resident too.
Mm-hmm. That's right. She does live here in the East End.
Yeah.
She's just amazing. We adore her. And Miss Paula, she's actually one of our East End Chamber Foundation board members, and she's a former University of Houston Board of Regents regent directors there. And so in her honor, I'm bringing this red rose because she always wears red in honor of University of Houston. And this beautiful rose reminds me of her. Yeah. Isn't she awesome?
She is. And, Paula is another one that she's just so humble. And she said, her parents instilled in her. And I will say every single person, every honoree said that the role their parents played in making sure that they did not forget where they came from and always gave back to those that are still there. And, Paula said her mother was a hairdresser, but she said her home was, as a child, was always open because her mom was always helping people. And she said that's how she grew up. You have to give back. And it's so, so true. So I admire, and listen, that woman is involved in everything, was appointed by the governor of Texas to serve on the chamber for, the state, just does phenomenal, but is always giving back,
Hmm.
always giving back.
And she also was the small business of the year from the Houston Business Journal,
Yes,
and that
yes.
is a huge honor.
That is, well, you're right. She was considered, and here it is. I just so happen to have it. It is, she was one of the most admired CEOs in the city. Does
Hmm.
that not speak volumes about, you know, Paula? She's phenomenal. Yeah,
She is. She
great lady.
is. And then there's two more that we have on here, and one is Marcy Meir from El Centro de Corazon, and I'm actually wearing these pink flamenco earrings in her honor. She is a breast cancer survivor and just an amazing story, a beautiful person. So proud of her. And then also on there is Dr. Adriana Temez and with the Tejano Center for Community Concerns, and I didn't have anything with their logo on it, but I have my old high school hat here because it's right down the street from the Tejano Center. And they have a school and they're just doing so much for students here in the East End.
Well, Adriana went in there. Dr. Temez went into the Tejano Center. One, she was one of the founders, but and then took a little bit of a sabbatical. She had a son and whatnot, and decided to take a sabbatical from Tejano Center. And then when she reemerged and went in as their president, CEO of the Tejano Center, that she did for that organization. So not only do they have the Raul Isiaguirre school on campus there, they're truly promoting college, you know, going to college and having these large colleges come and do recruitment to their students. And then they've also opened up a senior citizen apartments and center. And then they were doing food giveaway during when the pandemic first hit. So she has just turned that whole organization around over off of Broadway and is doing holistic, total community outreach. It's not just education. You name it, it is everything. And Marcy, oh my God, talk about coming from a family that has always given. Her father, Gasper, did so much with HISD when he was very involved with the board there. Her mother, an educator, her sister at Halliburton. That family also gives so, so much. And El Centro, again, in the heart of the East End.
I know everything, East End is just wonderful. That's why I love it so much and proud of everything that they do.
I have to tell you a story about the East End. So I told you that I moved here from San Antonio. When I moved here, I moved in with a roommate. She too was from San Antonio. I knew two people: my roommate Linda Galvan, and then Sylvan Rodriguez, who was an anchor because our families were friends forever. And we lived off of Westheimer, where it was the place to live. And then I met some people that lived over in the East End, and I remember going to their home, the Rodriguezes, Rita Rodriguez, and um, and her entire family. And I went to their home, and I felt I was home again. And so I moved from Westheimer, where it was the hip place to live, to the East End, and I rented a low garage apartment, and I could look out my window and see the uh, the middle school that is now named after Yolanda Navarro Black at the time. And then that's when you and I met, because you worked at Eckerd's right by down the street on the corner of Polk and
Cullen.
Cullen. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but I've always loved the East End. The first home I purchased was in the East End. It was on Walker Street. And then from Walker, I moved over to Idlewood, and I lived in Idlewood. Then from Idlewood, I moved to Country Club. So my heart has always been in the East End. Unfortunately, when Thomas and I married and we got horses, they just wouldn't let us keep our horses in the backyard.
We'll have to talk to our council members about that.
Yeah, but I always, you know what? There's a great little boutique that you and I love, Kids Meet, that is
Mhm.
right there um, in the East End. I discovered it as a result of following you on Facebook, and I went in there, and what a phenomenal young woman that runs that shop. And
Christina.
so, yeah, so now once a month, I drive from Cyprus over there to go shopping, and I just love it. I found so many great little shops and restaurants that weren't there when I was there,
Mhm.
and so I continue to support the East End. You guys are doing phenomenal work over there.
Thank you. And that's the Talapaki Market, right by Austin High School. And Kismet is the name of the boutique. And I actually got these earrings from
Yeah.
Christina at Kismet, and we're so proud of her. She was in a small corner shop, and now she's moving just across the little driveway into a bigger location. So we all have to support her as a female entrepreneur here in the East End.
Yeah, definitely,
And you do that.
definitely.
So thank you so much. I've got some questions here.
Sure.
So you have met so many amazing people through the Hispanic Hero Program, but who has been the most memorable person you have met in your career?
Oh, God, that's a good one. Yeah, there have been a lot. I have to tell you, the most moving for me that I had the opportunity to meet, and it was very briefly, but it was Pope John Paul the first, when he first visited Texas and he went to San Antonio, and I was working at Channel 13 at the time. And I remember when he came by in his little Pope mobile before we had the opportunity to, be blessed by him. And I just remember going, oh my God. And that I will always, always remember that. There have been a lot from, I remember when Julio Iglesias came on the scene and everyone was in love with him. I had the opportunity to meet him. I had the opportunity to interview the night that she performed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, which was the
Selena?
last performance that she had here in Houston. So that was another one that was great. Everything from politicians, and I have to say I've just kind of seen the media change through the years. Um, but certainly the opportunity to meet governors and, elected officials. I've had the opportunity to know Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia when she, just started in politics here, and look at where she is today as a congresswoman. I think the other one that was very moving was Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon. And so those are all really, but I think of the everyday, the people that don't have global or national notoriety. I remember when Pope John Paul came, I interviewed a young man that was a Latino that was going to perform for him and play his guitar for the Pope. And this young man did not have any hands or arms, and he performed for the Pope playing the guitar with his feet. And that's very humbling. That is when you go there by the grace of God. But this young man was so full of life that even to this day, I still remember him and what he had, the talent that he had. And he saw a talent. He didn't see ability. It was a talent. So I always say that when I did Viva Houston was the best time of my life. I had the opportunity to meet so many, and people would ask me, "What is it? Who did you meet? What did you like do? Why did you enjoy doing it? What moved you?" What moved me was the fact that I could tell the story of our Latino community, not to us. We know who we are. We know what we give back. We know how important we are, but to educate others. And when people would say to me, I had no idea that was a Latino, or that she was Latina, or that it was a Latino that did that, then I knew I did my job. I didn't want to tell our story to our people. I wanted to tell our story to those that didn't know of us.
Mm. Oh, I love that story, Cindy. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for educating the world and continuing to do that. In regards, you do a lot of volunteer work. There's a lot of nonprofits that you work with. one of the questions here, and if you can talk about your volunteer work and answer this question, what advice would you give to someone who wants to give back but doesn't know where to go or where to start?
Yeah. I think, that for me, that's easy. Two things. One, I want to give back to an organization that is helping improve the quality of life for those that do not have the means. So I look for that. And then I look for an organization that maybe is not supporting sufficiently the Latino community. So then I can go in, provide, either sit on a board or volunteer and make them aware of the Latino community. I sit on the board of the Ronald McDonald House, and there are only 3 of us on that board that are Latino. I did it because I wanted them, the organization, to be aware that there are families in need, that their children are going through treatment at the medical center. And guess what? They may not be able to speak the language, but the need is there. I have sat on numerous boards. Was one of the founders of the Hispanic Media Professionals. We started scholarship programs or scholarships for young students wanting to go into the field communications. When I was in high school, even in San Antonio, there was only one, Lydia Alegria, and she was a weather gal. So I look for organizations that I can help that or make that organization aware of the need in the Latino community. And I continue to look for organizations that help those less fortunate. Another one that's very near and dear to me, and is Latin Women's Initiative. That is a complete volunteer organization of women that give back to the Latino community, but specifically, we have given well over $500,000 in grants to organizations that help the Latina woman and child. And we've given to El Centro de Corazon, just to so many. We've been around now for over 20 years, and it's complete volunteer. We have one part-time paid person. So these ladies that serve on the board do it because they're passionate. We had a man sit on the board one year, but it's only been women. We don't discriminate. If there's a male out there that would like to be involved. And I've got to tell you a funny story. You've attended our luncheons, our big luncheon. So what makes the Latin Women's Initiative luncheon so unique is that we bring in a designer, and it's a fashion show and luncheon. We only bring in Latino designers. Why? Because again, we feel it's important that the world know, that Houston know, that the state know, that guess what? There are Latino designers out there that can go toe to toe with the top, fashion designers in the world. And they do a phenomenal job. But it used to be all ladies that go. And as the years have passed, the men have found out about this luncheon and attend. My husband, my last year as president, I begged him if he would come. He went, just going, a ladies' luncheon, really, Sin? You want me to go to a ladies' luncheon? He went and said, why didn't you bring me before? A room full of these exotic, beautiful Latinas, and you kept this a secret. So now we have men that buy tables and support. So yeah, and I've got to tell you, I'm going to do a plug for LWI. We're doing our membership drive. Only $50 is all it takes to join. We weren't able to have our membership luncheon at the Junior League this year, but we're still doing membership drive. And the first 100 people that support Latin Women's Initiative will receive, and the membership is $50. That's all it is, but we'll receive this beautiful handmade mask, this mask. We've got all different colors, and it's all hand embroidery. So you can go to latinwomensinitiative.org and become a member. So hopefully we'll get some memberships there.
And we put that link in the chat for anybody that wants to click and join right now.
Thank you. And the other thing I'm very committed to is, making our community aware of how important their vote is. I've never run for office. I don't think I ever would want to, especially the way the climate is right now. but I do think it's important for us to get involved, and our voice has to be heard, especially here in Texas. When I was old enough to go vote, I'll never forget my dad pulled out. That was back when they did the sheet of paper and it had all the candidates, and you weren't able to take anything into the voting poll. So he made me memorize the candidates that he felt was important. And I went and I voted, and that meant a lot to me. And so I still get involved in politics indirectly. This Saturday, I'll be out along with State Representative Christina Morales over at Gulfgate by Donedakis, registering people to vote. We have got to get the vote out. I'll show you this. I bought this mask and it's all blinged out and it says vote. And I have been wearing it now for over a month. And the looks I get from people, it's kind of like, okay, is she what, who, what? I don't care who you're voting for, but vote. And if you don't vote, then you know what? The next 4 years, no digas nada. Boca cerrada. You cannot say a thing because you didn't vote. So you need to get out and vote.
So
Can
when
you
we
tell
go
my
out,
passion?
yes. So when we go out to Gulfgate near Doneraki and get our signs and register to vote, we'll know who you are with your mask on, and we can say hello at a distance
Yeah,
in person.
yeah, yeah.
Good. What time is everyone going to be out there tomorrow?
9 to 1,
9 to
9
1.
a.m. until 1 p.m. And so, and in addition, you can pick up a state representative Morales sign, re-elect her. She's done phenomenal work up there in Austin, her first term, and so she's up for re-election. And then she'll have signs also for the presidential candidate as well, of her party or of the Democratic Party. So if you want to pick up your sign for Biden Harris, we'll have those too.
Good. And then for people that want to start volunteering but just don't know how, starting small, do you recommend them as just starting small,
Yes.
something that's passionate to them?
Yes. I think I definitely. What is passionate? What is your passion? Is it education? Is it health? Is it women? Is it young people? What is your passion? And then look for nonprofits. Houston, if you don't know of a nonprofit, you can always go to United Way. They support Baker Ripley. Look at how many agencies Baker Ripley works with. So, and I would start off volunteering. Mari Trevino Glass was this year's president of LWI. She started out as a volunteer and she worked her way up to board and then to president. So start off as a volunteer. And what volunteer is you give of yourself and your time. You have time, talent. If you've got any one of those three, nonprofits will welcome you with open arms.
I think that's wonderful. So any closing remarks, Cyndy? You're just amazing. I adore you. I still cannot believe I worked at Ecker Drugs when it was Ecker's on the corner of Polk and Collin, because I was at Moby High School and I wanted to go on a senior cruise, but my mom taught me the best lesson ever. You have to pay for half of it, so get a job. And I remember going over there, asking them for an application, filling it out, and I was hired on the spot, and meeting people like you. Still people call me the Eckerd lady. And I still call CVS Eckerds. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love everything that you do, everything that you stand for. And I'll continue to nominate people from the East End for the Comcast Hispanic Hero Award. But any closing remarks, words of encouragement, positivity, anything that you would like to say?
Uh, I always say this. It's the same thing that I was taught as a young girl growing up. My dad didn't graduate from high school. He got his GED. He went into the military. My mother graduated from high school, but was a bookkeeper at a small savings and loan. And my dad, his career was a mail carrier. People ask me, God, why do you still mail your bills? And I think because it was the US Post Office that helped put me through college. But one thing that Daddy always told us was these are the treasures that you're going to have in your life. These are going to be the things that are the most in your life. The first and foremost is your name. Your name is going to remain with you until the good Lord calls you, but only you can tarnish it. So cherish your name. Take care of your name. The other is your word. When you give your word to someone and you say, yeah, 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 I'll be there, I'll be there, you're there. Tu palabra is so important. So, stand by your word. Only you can go back on it, no one else can. And then the other is your education. Nobody can take education away from you. No one, no matter what that education is, whether it's, high school, uh, going to a community college, going to college, getting your master's, your doctorates. You will achieve that. You acquire that. No one can take it away. And then the last thing, Daddy always told us, do not forget where you came from. That is important. I am so proud to be a Latina. And sometimes, with a last name like Roberts, and then I've got my husband that's Bubba Cowboy, they think I'm not. And I love going and speaking Spanish and speaking out and letting people know about our community. So, is those are the words of wisdom that I received, and I always repeat them and share them with people. We're proud people. Don't forget where you came from, and always remember there's somebody looking at you and back there that can one day wants to aspire. So that's it.
Beautiful words, beautiful message, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much, Cyndy, for joining us today. We actually have a drawing right now, Spring Hill Suites in San Antonio. It's so great, wonderful. You're from San Antonio, and we're letting
Yeah,
someone have
perfect.
a night stay in San Antonio. But it's a random selection from our participants today. And today's winner is Anita Rodriguez. Congratulations, Anita. We have your email address, so we'll connect with you and make sure that you get that wonderful prize. And thank you again, Spring Hill Suites in San Antonio, for making this donation. Anybody else that wants to be a part of Feel Good Friday, send me an email. My email address is right below. If you have any recommendations, follow us on our social media page. If you want to share this with anybody that wasn't watching today, it will be on our Facebook Live and will also be on our website. And we'll see everybody next Friday for our Feel Good Friday. Thank you, Cyndy, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow at Gupgate. Yeah, at Donna Rockies between 9 and 1.
Good. It's so important to vote. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the day.
Bye-bye.